day everyone. Welcome to the Siddha webinar series. Today the topic is on Siddha Biological Clock, Sarasutra Gadigaram. It's a very important topic. So before that, we will start our meditation. Gently close your eyes. Go to empty space. Beyond the universe, it's only empty space. This empty space is infinite. There is no beginning, there is no end. All hidden within the empty space, absolute light, infinite light. This light is not comparable. To anything that we see is light, but it is close. This consciousness is vibrating nature. Even though it looks like empty space, it has vibrations, the dance, beginning of the universe. Within dance, time is hidden. Within the dance of the vibrations, time just hiding. It's the gap between two particles, two vibrations. Space is fixed. It's a fixed place. Time is moving. So space only becomes time. When you start to go from one space to another space, time evolves. Time is not a separate entity. Feel the vibration in empty space. These tiny vibrations formed knots by self-compressive pressure. The whole space is self-compressive in nature. At a given point, it will compress in all 360 degree. They form small bunches of vibrations put together, and they continue to give the pressure such that it starts to rotate and spin. Tiny particles are formed. These particles are called Shakti particles. Shakti means energy, energy particles. The space evolved into particles, vibrating knots. As it continues to give the pressure, start to spin and spin and spin, forms a empty space within the particle, in the center of the particle, like a donut. And another particle which comes closer is pushed by these particles because of the vibrating reflecting forces, repulsive forces. Therefore, the distance is maintained between two particles. When the particles are far away, they are called Akash. Evolution of the first 5 states of matter. When it comes closer, one particle revolves around the other, which forms atomic structure. Air is formed. Fire densed particle fire is formed. And then water is formed, liquid. And then solid is formed, earth. And from there it evolves further. The seed is empty space. Empty space evolves further into one sense organ, all the way to sixth sense organisms. So who is living within us? Just that space, consciousness that evolved into this being. We're going back to where we came from. The whole search of this living being, human, is to look for where we came from. As we evolved, we had karmic imprints so that we can be in this physical structure. If there were no karmic imprints, there is no physical structure, there is no existence. Karma is the first principle for existence. When we dissolve into consciousness, the karma is dissolved. Expand your mind in empty space. Don't doubt about what you're doing. Just believe that moment. What you're doing is absolutely right. Don't doubt your practice. When you're in empty, absolute empty space, your breath stops. There's no breath. It automatically stops. Now come back to body consciousness. Gently rub your hands and do eye palming. Rub your face upward. Now, so talking about the biological clock. In Tamil literature, it's called Sarasutra Gadigaram. It's a Varma based literature. Because all the Varma literature is about the connection between the cosmos and the human neurological system. Karma is like very subtler. What we have understood in our modern knowledge is all about dead body. It's called dead body science. So whatever you see in a dead body or in a microscope, you believe that that is the truth because that is evidence-based. Right? But microscope is a limited thing happen at that in a cellular level. Things happen at the subtler vibration level, much lower in the atomic, is in a particle level. So particle level, when things are changing, it is only consciousness that is moving those particles and making every decision about the particle. But human often believe that we have control over ourselves, which is okay in a sense because we are also God, but we do it very differently, very egoistic way of controlling things. But the whole universe, if you look at, universe is divided into 12 zodiacs. If you look at it, say it's like a 360. Look at, if it is a flat universe or a circular universe, we would say 360, cone, like a pie. But this is more of a 360 degree, three-dimensional. So more cones, That is why constellations are developed. So our body, see, when we evolve, where did we evolve from? So let me pull my slide. So don't ask me for references right now, but I'll give you references from ancient knowledge as it is, because I have put in a lot of things, learning from different times. But I do have references. Okay. So the biological clock is the topic today. Now, so the beginning of the universe, what was there? The beginning, they said, our ancestors. Is all our ancestors, is the whole world is only one. We separate ourselves, When I say our ancestors, don't think, I'm not an Indian, or I'm not our ancestors, this is one planet. Thought was very, very ancient, right? This knowledge is ultimate knowledge. So where the whole absolute space consciousness was everywhere, all pervading, omnipotent. Omnipotent means has all the potential energy there. Omniscient, it knows everything. It's not just empty space, but everything is calculated. What it has to happen, why it happens, there is a cause and effect system. And omnipresent, it is everywhere, it's penetrative. If you look at space, it's penetrative, it's inside you, inside me, everyone. The same common space itself has contained the consciousness. So therefore you and me and the table and the dog all are under the same consciousness. It is only one. That's the absolute theory. So where did these ancient people got this? It's not through books or anything. It's all your brain. How you download, that's how they got this. It's not through all these books and all. These were very useless. That's the book page of the universe. Each page has a story. So from empty space is like just vibrations. So in those days they call it, the vibrations are called Nadaraj. Nadaraj means the meaning, you don't take it very much religious or something like that. It's not religious because they have to use some language need to be used. If you go to the Middle East, they will use Allah. Here they call it Godfather. So every religion, every culture need to use. Religion came much later. This is before religion things came. Religious is a small part, but this knowledge is vast. It is universal. So empty space is everywhere. Everything is like a black hole. Nearly a black hole. Whatever modern knowledge we have, it may be closely applicable, but like a black hole. But all light is sucked in. You see, it has infinite light inside that black hole. That light is not comparable in modern accent. So, with whatever light you see today, so that's called the Arutparam Jyoti. Arutparam Jyoti is the hidden light. Arutparam Jyoti is not a ordinary light. It cannot be comparable to anything. So that's why it's called Arutparam Jyoti. So that light is hidden, but that light is we cannot, as you start to focus on the empty space. So from the empty space only, so all meditative practices are basically to go to empty space. Any practice, breath practice, anything in this world, if it is a meditation, whether it is a non-religious, doesn't matter. Everything is at the end is to clean the space inside you. It's empty space. When you're saying empty space, we are seeing only outside. It's just when you feel, it's all inside you only. Because you are the universe. So you are part, because we evolved from that empty space consciousness. So we have all the qualities. So if whatever we think, we perceive is our own world. So therefore our perception, if it is empty space, it's you. You are the empty space. And from that empty space vibrations, the energy particles in the beginning is also happening now inside you. inside us, everyone. The energy particles, the vibrations start. They are called Nadaraja. Nadaraja means Nadanatkalam Raja. Nadaraja means dance. Raja means king, king of dancers. Who is the king of dance? A consciousness is the king of dance. It's vibrative nature, and therefore these vibrations is what is called as time. It creates time. Time is the distance between these vibrations. So they form these vibrations, they form the Panjabhutas, the particles, energy particles, that's the fundamental energy particles, atomic structure, etc., etc. And then from there, the Savadaram is the evolution to human being, like from living one sense to living. So that's how the particles are formed. These are, it looks like the universe, it's all the atomic structure. It's the same replica universe. So when energy particles, and they are far away, they are, one particle is formed from that empty space, and the time is unknown, because if you know the time, you become God, you become consciousness. Time is the secret. Say, if you ask this question, when did the first particle come? Well, if there is a time, when the first particle come, and then why did it not come before that? That question will come. If you try to find the answer, you become God. So there is no, time is the fundamental thing that keeps you alive. If you find time, you become God. So if you look at like how the Panjabhuta structures are formed, one particle, another particle coming closer, one particle's field will allow the another particle to rotate. They own self-rotation as well as the revolution. So this is how atomic structure is formed, as well as the whole planetary system is formed from these fundamentals. This is an ancient knowledge given about space and particles. So they form these formative, what you see in between is called the formative dust particles. You can go to Journey of Consciousness by Vatham Maharishi has given. The last, even he was 96 years old, he gave very, very important after 90s, maybe he's 94 probably, just a book, Kirill Particles, in English. Okay, so these formative dust particles are very fundamental, because that is, he coined that name, it's very important, because that is the Nataraja vibrations. These vibrations, they form these like different kind of rotation. The particles rotate clockwise, anti-clockwise, but there is a gap. These vibrations that was given by the particle keep the space and push. The minimum it could do is like just one wave between these two, and that's called the time. The time is the distance, just the one crest to trough, the distance is called time. So time is already formed. The space only is time, is the distance, that's all. Because we are continuously moving in space, we are getting time. Because the earth moves, we are getting time. Our particles in our body moves, we are getting time. It is only movement. Time and space are same. That's what like Einstein, Lorentz equation says. All these people about relativistic quantum mechanics, all these things developed from this relativity, right? So the whole idea is that these particles, the time already formed in the beginning of the universe. So that is why we all are running. So every particle, the particles start to rotate, they evolve, rotate, and they merge with the space. Okay. So this is, in general, this is once. So we are born, we live, and then we die. The same thing happens. And there is, in the beginning itself, the particles are having clockwise southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere rotations. There may be other rotations. It's in 360 many rotations are possible, but most relative to one happens. And this is levo-rotatory, dextro-rotatory is the beginning of Shiva Shakti. That's like male, female component. Very long time back. If you look at like how, why you have Ida and Pingala Nadi, right? Right nostril, left nostril. Then you have your two eyes, two nostrils, ears, all these things, like right brain, left brain, has to do with the beginning of the universe. The beginning of the universe, this thing evolved this way so that we become part of that beginning. So this is not a human being just there to buy some house, build something and die miserably, not knowing who we are. So we are meant for a different purpose, finding this, who we are. And this is a very important information, because we usually think that the particles emerge and they rotate for some time, dance, and then they die. That's our life. There is something different. What, like sage scientist Vadalar kind of people talk about is, like Jesus is referred in resurrection, we call it, in the Christianity from its Lord. So again, the particle hides, right, like hibernating, and again emerges. So you can emerge again. That's the whole idea. You can hibernate and emerging again as light. So you going deep into the black hole, you can emerge, and that's what Vadalar exactly did. Sage scientist Vadalar. He converted this body, the particle, in such a way, all the particles merged into that space, hibernated, again came back as light, and is visible to whom, who wants to see Vadalar, So that is the, so here, if you look at, how the evolution of living beings, so from those particles only from one sense organ like plants, so some mosses and all these things are formed in the earth. So the planets are formed, Panchabhutas form the planet. From the Panchabhutas, evolution should happen. So first evolution happened in the water. That's why it's called the avatars, Macham, Kurmam, Varagan, Narsimham, all those, up to, so this thing we have discussed about this. But the idea is that we evolved into this. So if you take it where religious, people believe that religious means somebody like Avatar was there, some Kurmam Avataram was there, some Narasimha was there. They created gods and that's all religious beliefs. There's no God as such who exist, this kind of thing. These are scientific concepts, right? Human has evolved. Who are Kalki? We are Kalki. We all are Kalki. That's the last avatar, we say, right now, whatever they found. But we are, the existing people are the Kalkis. It's not that somebody is there and you go and worship and fall into somebody's feet. That's not the way. The whole idea of concept, this is all our business. Humans make business out of this, all religious business things. So, so the whole idea is that how to tie that human to our natural time, like it's called the chrono-neuro bio model circuit. So the Siddhas, they formed this circuit, absolutely. Still I'm trying to see how they formed this. Absolutely, they evolved, they took it from, they downloaded from consciousness. Many things are like really, it's very difficult to understand. A lot of concepts hidden in this. But if you understand this to some extent, you can change your life. We can lead a Siddha neurological, synchronized life. So that's the whole idea of this. So in our body, there are 72,000 nadis are there. Nadis are tubes. The nadi, they connect, like for example, this is Ida nadi, means one particular nadi goes from the toe all the way up. There are many nadis like that. So the nadis are circuits. The circuits are like you have resistors, capacitors like that. These they have special things in this circuit. They are like tubes which has very nano femtoneuro reservoirs. They have little reservoirs. There are resistors that resist slow down, all these things. So all the body functions happen through nadis, unlike what we think through nervous system and all the system that we see in a dead body. Is a very limited version. Even if you do surgery and you be successful, but yet things are happening in a very subtler way. Through the nadi system, you can if you can, there is a nadi called Pallai nadi. Pallai nadi is below your, if you look at your rib, rib gauge, right side. If you do a surgery, you can even kill the person because that's a dangerous point. So there are 12 points. So like that, there are 12 circuits that are very important circuits. So the 12 circuits are main, because if you look at 12 is like a complete like 24 cycle. They are connected with the universe, right? And 12 types of vayus are mentioned. Accordingly, there are vayus in our body that are 12 types. So even in the Ayurvedic literature, we only see dasa vayus. People talk about dasa vayus, but only in the Siddha literature, we see 12 vayus are there. So exactly fitting into that. So that is the ancient biological clock, where 12 nadis, the circuit system is mentioned. That we start from Ida nadi, Pingala nadi, Viswadhara nadi, Varshini, Sulumune, Singuvai, Alambudai, Atti, Gandhara, Purudan, Sankani, Guru. These are the nadis. So what is the English translation? English translation is same only. There is no translations. Like, Pongal is only Pongal. Right? You want to change Diwali into something else, that's okay. But this one you have to learn just like that. Language. These are new dimensional concepts. They are not available in the modern literature. So therefore, you take it as it is. So if you look at the northern hemisphere, and this clock is divided northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. So northern hemisphere is, say, it is the daytime, dusk time, right? So it is night time. So you have dusk and dawn also part of the night time, and then we have the evening, the morning. If you look at the morning times, this is all the daytime, the southern hemisphere, right? So here, what we are doing, if you look at like what time, what organ functions. So if you go to one cone, say take one cone, say rectal here in the dawn kapha, rectal, gugu, and the gugu is the nadi, that is nadi circuit system that will be functional, okay, because gugu is connected to the rectal system. And also this is the spine is activated. The spine is activated in that particular time, right? So similarly, if you look at the Ida nadi, right, left nostril, during that time, Ida nadi functions, the lung operates. The lung is functioning. So your Ida nadi is connected. The time, if you look at the inner circle, the inner circle is the time is 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. The peak of the lung function is 7 o'clock. You see? So this is how we have to take this clock. right? And similarly, if you look at, say, for example, you're watching something. I'm every day watching, at 12. So this is what time is, 10 o'clock. Okay. So 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, you are doing something. This is night time I'm talking about. This is Nayana Nadi, that is the left eye. When the left eye functions, Gandhari functions. Look at the top, right? Midnight Pitta. So look at the Gandha, left eye and Gandhari. Gandhari is the Nadi associated with that. So what happens? If you start to in the night time, so 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, you're continuously using the left eye or doing something. What does it affect is your liver. If you're going beyond that, you will affect your gallbladder. Gallbladder is a Pitta connection. So I'll come to Vata, Pitta, Kapha time also. So if you look at the night time, the northern hemisphere all are meant for resting. So you need to slow down. So you can listen to, for example, when the left ear is functioning, you can listen to mild music. If you have to set up music, that will, if you are listening to some rock music at 8 o'clock, say at 6 o'clock onwards, we should not at the evening, we should have very lighter music or anything for the ears. Because it's the evening when the dusk starts, it is resting time, right? So if you're listening to a rock song, you will affect kidney, urinary bladder, etc. So when ear is functioning, you should, in the night time, this is how, we should give the ear and the organs also will rest. It will do its function properly. And then if you look at the right side, the morning, that's why, brain, when the brain functions, we start to meditate. At 3 o'clock, the Brahma Muhurta time opens up around that. So if you're using the brain is functional, then the Kundalini is functional, the spine is functional. So that is what the Sangani and Gugu, right? These two circuits form. So if you look at, why we do people wake up and meditate, not do other activities. So that's why it is a sleeping mode actually. Meditation is all resting modes. So we use resting modes. From the evening, the dusk Vata to the dawn Kapha, we have to use resting mode. It is dawn as well as Kapha. So we have to rest our body. All the activations happens after, say, this is the time, 6 o'clock. After 6 o'clock in the morning, you can activate your body, all the yogasanas, breathing exercises, all this can be done. So this is how they structured. If you look at, for example, look at stomach, right? So, and you say, look at lungs, start from your lungs. And you have to, if you look at large intestine, they eliminate, things from our body. So if you look at the, after functioning the lungs, if you take a breakfast during this time, it is good. It will try to digest, because the elimination process, when it happens, it will try to bring things from the top, right? From the stomach downwards. So that is a good time. So if you look at, if you're eating, say, during 11 o'clock, around that, right? So here the spleen start to function, spleen boosting. So the body, all the energy will go towards that. and therefore towards the stomach, right? And they start to digest, so spleen will not do its work. So that's why in the ancient literature we had eating certain times, right? So we narrow down the time. Even in from Ayurveda to Siddha, there is a huge difference. Even though Ayurveda is very close, say we say 6 to 8 in the morning in Ayurveda says you can eat stuff, and in the afternoon 12 to 2, and the evening 6 to 8. But Siddha even narrows down very close, like it gives like half an hour it takes away. So 6 to 7:30, 12 to 1:30, like that, so they give around one quarter hour, even very accurate time for eating, right? And when the pitta is in the peak, and if you look at the pitta kapha time, vata time is for activation. So if you look at the morning time, you activate. That's where yogasana, all those exercise can be done. So it's the vata time, vata movement, body, all these things can perform. Vata means movement. Pitta is metabolism. It is very regional. So that is where when you can have food digestion, all these things happen. So you can eat the food, pitta can digest. Fire, it's fire. So pitta is fire. And even in kapha, you can use less. When the small intestine works, you can eat less, right? Because it's a kapha time, digestion is so it is very Ayurvedic time. The morning starts the kapha and then pitta. So because Ayurvedic time, if you look at, there is no clock. There is no clock in Ayurveda, because it's a Siddha knowledge only appeared as Ayurveda. So like even the Chinese, if you look at the Chinese clock, it is not complete. If you can bring a Chinese clock which is very complete, which talks all about this, you please text me if there is any literature. The only literature available in the Siddha literature, right? It's all our ancestors only. Even if Chinese or anybody, is not about that. I'm talking about where the truth is, where the true knowledge came from, right? So this, because this is a complete circuit, right? It completes everything. It talks about the Nadi circuit system and the functions, the organ functions according to the time, and how we have to align to this, so that we don't have to worry what modern science say, anytime you can eat any this, you do that, you can eat in cookies in between, all those things, nonsense will go away. Because this is a original circuit for original traditional knowledge, and the evidence base can come later. These are axioms. You'll see, test with everybody, then you build evidence, right? But evidence is already there. Our Siddhas lived aligned with this nature. They lived longer, and some of them did not die also, right? That's how they lived. But if this circuit system is there in any religion, very highly appreciated. You tell me if this is available in any religion. If these religion things are teaching this, if science is teaching this, you tell me. So this is a very unique knowledge. That's why it's very important to have this knowledge. And the same, if you look at the whatever we saw, anti-clockwise, it shifts like every 2 hours, right side, left nostril, starting from 4 o'clock in the morning. In days also, every day it starts, except for Tuesday, Thursday, it's different. But 2 hours it shifts. Your right brain, left brain started to shift. So the clockwise, anti-clockwise breathing is automatically happen. Seeing also, it's not only breathing. If you look at your eyes, one of the eye will be seeing and the other will be less, so it will not see actually if you look at. That's why when you take eye test, you often think, oh, my eye, right eye is not functioning well. But after 2 hours, if there is a shift, you go see, it would have changed. By the time you would have prescribed, doctor would have prescribed, optometrist will prescribe a glass for you. So, if you're not understanding this, we will, our life will not be complete. We'll be doing haphazard things. So that's why, in order to understand this, the whole concept, the beginning of the universe, we saw the flow, the same flow, like how clockwise, anti-clockwise rotations happen in our body. Every particle rotates, and every, our brain, if you look at reading biology for some time, the kid for 2 hours, and the kid continues to work. When the left side is functioning, biology works very well. But if you go to manage math or engineering subject, you need right brain. So they need to shift, then it will function. If they stay in biology, it will not work nicely. So this is how, if you learn the psychology, you know how kids work, all the performance, all industry performance, all these things, we can align with this. If you are in a particular industry, you go for some lighter things, we can shift that. So your performance will also be good. Practical application also is there, right? So the organ wise, if you look at, the brain, they control, and the whole body, the cognition happens. Because when you talk about brain is just like it's one of the organ, very important organ. But in the modern science, they believe that brain does everything. But that's not the thing. The brain, the human software uses the brain. So mind is different from brain. So usually when we say brain here in the modern thing, you talk about, the cognition happens through, but cognition happens through our biomagnetic extension, right? So the brain is connected. So that means the mind is connected to consciousness. The organ, the brain used to download the software. It's very important. The brain is very important in our body. It downloads the software. It's very important. That's why all the chakras are on the top. So we can, the important chakras are on the top. So you can download consciousness. So spine, if you look at transmission, all this happens through spine. So this is called the pranic channel, right? So lung is for breathing, prana intake. I told you pranavayu, lung is very important because pranavayu only converts into 12 types of vayus. Another 11 types of vayus, including prana, it is 12. So we talk about prana, apana vayu, vyana vayu, right? Udana vayu. And the large intestines is removal, and it's all a balancing effort. And spleen, immunity. So in the Siddha, we call the energy. Our body, we get immunity, means the energy conversion happens. The stomach, the digestion. So Agni creates Agni, right? Agni is the fire created. So it's not the stomach, when we say the stomach functions, when the stomach functions, the digestion Agni is not, we should not be using the digestion Agni exclusively for only digestion. We should use that Agni for other things, the heat, the intelligence also is used. If you are overeating, all the Agni will be wasted only in digestion. And you will not get the other kind of mental functions and other things, because the same Agni is used for sadhaka pitta, becoming devotional, becoming our mental functions, everything from that Agni. Heart circulation. Heart is used for circulation. Emotional regulation happens through heart when we activate. So the opposite happens. If you look at, when you do this, if you use the wrong way in these things, say for example morning, if you go back, morning when the brain is functioning, you are sleeping, right? So you will not get the consciousness. You will not reveal for them. You will never know what the consciousness is. Only for who wake up in the morning, you become aware. That's why many of our Siddhas, they become aware at early morning, 2 o'clock. Some people did not sleep. They were completely aware, right? So at least in the modern sense, you can wake up early morning, right? So like that, we have the kidney filtration, small intestine. We have kidney. That's a filtration in the modern sense. It's giving vital energy, the Siddha. So bladder, waste storage, fluid detoxing fluid in the Siddha sense. So liver is detox and heat regulation, the Siddha. So gallbladder is usually, pitta, bile is like usually pitta veliyottrudal we call it. So that is an more, it's not the right word. So it's pitta bile detox, Pitham veliyottrudal. Okay, that's the right word. Bringing the negative aspect of the ama. Okay. So the sensory organs, if you look at the liver and eyes are connected, kidneys and ears are connected, heart and tongues are connected, lungs and nose are connected, spleen and taste are connected, and each one will affect certain things. If these organs are not functioning properly, if you're overusing your eyes, it will damage the liver. If you're overusing a liver will damage the eyes. So the functional particle in our bodies, the vision, for example, eyes, thinking also affects. Ears are affected, hearing balance is affected. The ability to analyze will be affected. Speech, emotions, both are affected. In the lungs are not functioning, the breath and prana are affected. If the spleen is not functioning, our nutrient intelligence is affected. So these are some things we connect both. So if you look at the time is connected with our chakras and rotation and of the earth. So all, if you look at because we have the Panchabhuta system. So the Panchabhuta system, the heavier elements are drawn towards the earth because of the circulation. Why we die? Because in this human system, we say everything is rotating, and why we are not dying immediately, right? So in this, who are we? If you look at, so we are made up of the Panchabhuta, 5 elements, and every element is according to the specific gravity. They take their position in, elements are drawn towards the earth, lower, so, and lighter ones are thrown away. So the centripetal and centrifugal forces have been given by our ancestors already several thousand years back. So they said the earth is rotating and heavier particles are thrown away, lighter. That's how the chakras are formed. They form these chakras based on centripetal and centrifugal forces of the earth. So that is why earth center is at the Mooladhara, base chakra, because that is the heaviest element. And the center for the water liquid is the Swadhisthana, which is in between the Mooladhara and the Nabi. And the Nabi is the fire, the heat, right? And then the air chakra is the Anagata chakra, heart chakra. And then the throat chakra is the Akash chakra. So Akash, so the Akashis are the final first energy particles that are formed, I told you, and then they form the air, fire, etc. So if you look at how the our body is formed, lighter are thrown away, right? That's why even lighter are the subtler particles, the tanmatras, called the Panja tanmatras, Adutta Moli Oli Svai Manam. So that is the pressure, taste, smell, heat and light, and then the hearing, sound. So all these 5 transformations, they are even lighter, so they throw out, and that's why we are opening eyes, ears and all on the top of the head. So we continuously start to waste our energy through talking, through seeing, through hearing, all those things, because the earth throws away lighter particles, and therefore we get hungry, right? Because the energy is so the time is determined for our energy drain is our time, our death is the rotation of the earth, because the earth rotates, and the whole system, the Panchabhuta, the particle rotated, all these particles rotated, they collectively form the earth, and the earth start to rotate, and we are on top of the earth. So the earth start to push out our things. If we are living like earth for long, we could have lived longer time, because earth is also from the same particle only, but the earth lives longer than us. But we, within our system, we are not only our body particles rotated, but the earth is also rotating, and therefore it pushes out all the lighter particles from our body, and heavier are drawn towards the earth, and therefore the lighter particles are Akash. Akash is our life force. So out of the five Panjabhutas, one of them is called the Akash. They are like independent energy particles, and in our body they are life force. And when the life force start to go out, we lose our time. The time start to count. So every day when you are doing all the activities through your Panjabhutas, we are slowly dying. And all the functions that not only we are dying this way, but wrong functioning. How we are doing wrong functioning? By misusing our organs. Doing the wrong thing in the wrong time will take away several years. Normally we will be dying. Say we can live for 140 years if we just normally function. Why we are dying? Because of wrong functioning of the entire organ system, not aligning with the natural rhythm of the time. Okay, so this is the, so now you can open up for questions. Yeah.
Dr. Shan, I have a question. This is Aruna.
Yes.
So you were mentioning earth. Earth is the Muladhara in the chakras, and then Swadhisthana is associated with water, the second Panchabhuta. And that the third is the Nabi, the solar plexus associated with fire. And I forgot what you mentioned about Anahata, the heart chakra.
Air.
Air. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Anagata
that
and
is, and then the
Akash.
throat is the Akash. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So Akash is the space.
Akash is not space. No, Akash is not space. That is a very loose knowledge in the
Okay.
Ayurvedic thing. But the Akash means energy particles that are very far away.
Energy particles far away. Okay.
Akash are particles. See, when the particles come close, they form structure. That's the air. For example, hydrogen is a two particle, right? Helium, two electrons, like that, So those are the air functions. But when the particles are very far away, still not connected, they are called Akash. So Akash is
Mm.
not empty space. There are particles, and the same Akash in our physical body is called life force. That is our life soul.
So the
So
prana.
when yes,
Okay.
the prana, that's the prana. So the that forms the prana. If the prana that goes away, the prana shakti also goes away.
Okay.
Yes. So
Thank you so much.
so that is in the Panjabhuta. Say all the other. Say for example, our solid body, like our bones and all, are very structured. The particles are very closely connected. So it makes a solid body. Then the liquid is little mobilizing, and the air
Mhm.
moves. Right? Fire is little like iron. It moves, but it's very local. Air moves everywhere, and ether even can go out of the body. That's why we can do projection, like we can do astral travel and all. So that is, ether is where you have an identity. If ether goes, because all the biomagnetic imprint, everything is carried by the ether in your body. The whole memory of whatever you see, taste, smell, etc. are in the ethereal part of the body. So your identity, you lose your identity is you. Your body will be there, but when your soul moves out of your body, you lose your identity for this body.
So
Okay.
that is why the heart chakra associated with ether and air.
This is only air. This is the ether. Okay. So this is air, this is ether.
Yeah,
That
got
is
it.
why when somebody cuts the throat, you're gone. The ether center. It's very important, because this part is very important.
So So I guess I'm understanding it wrong. The heart chakra is associated with air, but air is not the same as ether. You're saying the throat is associated with ether.
Yeah, ether is separate. Air is a structure, like when atomic structures are formed, like hydrogen, nitrogen, all those things are air because the atomic structure formed. Ether is independent energy particle. They do not come close together. One is not rotating around the other. As a ether. Beyond ether, the empty space talking about is the Shivam. That's the empty space. The ether itself is called Shakti. Outside is called Shakti, right? Inside our body, the same ether is called life force, our soul. So who is living within us?
Okay.
The same Shakti only, right?
Okay.
We call Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Griya Shakti, all the Shaktis. Like when we use this same energy particle we use for creating knowledge, this knowledge is called Saraswati. The same Shakti only. If you're using the Shakti to, for making money, right? You work for money, or money means salvam, to get things, for you acquiring things for your possessions, then that is called the, Lakshmi. Knowledge is Saraswati, is called Lakshmi, and then we use that for revolting around like bad things, like why war is happening and you're revolting against that. All the bad things, Anyanam, we call it. And that's called the Kali. So who is there? Inside us, all these Shaktis are there. So they refer this. There is no separate woman or somebody with a sari and all these things wearing this. So all they meant was science. It is scientific. So religious people started to believe in the religion and they start to do the propaganda. And therefore we have separations. In your religions, you have so many separations. And we look into only one culture, one way of. But if this is a universal knowledge, so this is for everyone in this world who can understand, science.
So
Yeah.
throat is associated with the ether, and it is also Akash. And that is where you're talking about the particles that are farther away.
Akash only is called ether. Akash is another word, is called ether.
Thank
Even
you.
in the modern science, if you look at all the five things are there. If you look at plasma, plasma is a fourth stage. I'm not talking about plasma in biological sense. It's a physics sense. It's an ionized air. It's only ionized air. That's the fourth state of matter. And if you look at Akash, ether was referred by Einstein. Einstein referred ether because he said, the light cannot travel without a medium. But later on, people, said ether was not there. But Einstein knew that there was ethereal particles. So that's where the beginning started. So these five elements, states of matter, are there even in the modern science.
So I have a question, Dr. Shan. So different body types, right? Vata, Pitta, and Kaph. So each one should use this clock differently. So if I have a Vata type body, I would use this biological clock differently. And if somebody has a Kapha body type, they will use it differently. Would that be right? Or everybody use the same way?
Yeah. Say, for example, your Vata time, I'll tell you Vata time. What's the advantage of your Vata time? So...
and the body is Vata type. Let's assume the body is Vata type.
Yeah, Vata type. So let's say. So Vata means, let me go through this. Like Vata, for people who don't know, this Vata thing. So Vata means air and ether joined together. It's called Vata. Okay. Pitta is fire. Sometimes they combine fire in some combine liquid fire also as fire. Okay, like a volcanic magma, And the earth and water is called Kapha. So Kapha is a regional energy. Like Kapha is potential energy. Pitta, very solid. It's a very stable. It is there. It's hidden. So Pitta is very regional. Like fire, it's very regional, but it's very intensive, metabolic, thermal energy. Air and ether is moving energy, Vata kinetic. So this is the nature of our body. So a Vata person always start to move Vata things, you're singing or anything, you know, there's a Vata nature. So say for example, if you look at the body, the clock, say your time, Vata time, for a Vata body type, you have a very good advantage of doing things in the morning time. When the Idanadi Pingala Nadi works, say for example, your peak could be somewhere like, if you're going like 8 o'clock, right? 8 o'clock and all, your function will be the Vata functioning, movement and all these things will be very high in this. So what happens is, it's already a Vata time. Okay, your more functioning is already there from the universe for everyone, but particularly for a Vata person, it will be very high. So the Vata person need to slow down during this time. In the Vata activity, because activity wise, like you are traveling, say if you're traveling this time, you will be exhausted. It's a Vata time. It's a long traveling, it's a Vata nature. It will increase the Vata in the body. So like that, you know, in a Pitta time, say in a will be in the peak, your fire will be in the peak. So that time, say for example, you're in the very hot sun, you're going to Texas, you're eating a spicy thing, your system is collapsed. If your Pitta is in the peak for you, right? Afternoon, you know, then you will have all kind of problems, you know, associated with this. So you will have you can have ulcers, all kind of, you know, problems, the gas problem, etc. will come. You will have burning sensation, eyes burn, you know, red eyes, you can have headache, migraine, all these things can come just because if you don't know your body type and you don't know this yourself different way, you know. So there is season, cover season also. So if you take a, for example, summer is a Pitta season and you're going to a Pitta place such as a hot place in Texas, a Pitta day, you can, and you're eating a spicy puliyadara or something like that, you're done. Your system is collapsed.
So that means
So that's why
Vata type person should avoid doing activities in the morning, early morning, around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
lesser activities, not Vatik activity, should not do Vadik activity. They can do Pitta activity, for example, like localized movement. But if you're traveling, for example, you're flying, you get disturbed, so you need to balance it. Doesn't mean you don't have to do that. We cannot avoid that, but understand that. And you are eating say for example, you're eating a walnut in the morning when you're traveling in a flight, that can collapse the Vata system. It's a Vata increasing food, right? And you know, so whatever astringent taste and all, they will increase Vata. So, and then your traveling activity is a Vata. Or if you're staying in a 30th floor, 10th floor in a building, is high altitude. Altitude is not good for Vata. So you should understand this body type and your body timings, and accordingly we can adjust, you know. So it may be good for a Kapha during that time, you know, to take over.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's how.
Dr. Shan, I had a question.
Yes, please.
Guys,
And
Sadhat Pitta, not just for eating and digesting. And number two was, how do you activate, like, let's say you're doing public speaking, you want to activate the left side of the brain. If you're singing, you want to activate the right side of your brain. At that time, you don't have a choice of the time, but then how do you activate at that time the different brain activity?
so beyond all these things, that's why going beyond this time is what the Siddhas did. So we have to follow. See, if you are Siddhas, you don't have to follow time. Because we are trying to become Siddhas, so we have to follow time. So the Siddhas the time collapses for them. They took over time, right? So if you know how to meditate, that's why the Kundalini system allows you to break that. It doesn't mean, so it doesn't mean you're collapsing the entire time. It automatically happens. Like when you're in the neutral state, Sulumune is operating. The Idanadi, Pingalanadi, then the Sulumune is there. When the Sulumune, we know how to function 24/7. If your thought is here and here, and you're trying to activate that, then the time, it doesn't really matter. So we can surpass time. Every time becomes very neutral. You're being with the time. Okay. There's no time at all. Your night and day and everything same. But that
Which
for
is
that lifestyle, you have to
meditation.
follow the. Yes, but for that lifestyle, only if you follow the clock, you can get there. Okay. It's not that, okay, right away I will do that. Everybody will do that. If you say that there is a thing like that, everybody will follow that only. Because you cannot follow the clock. It's difficult. But the discipline is needed. Following the clock is very important. Then only you will get there. Siddhas are highly disciplined. That's why they are able to, break the time rule. Yeah, so you can take the advantage of right brain, what kind of functions, like all right brain functions, right? Pingala Nadi. The Pingala Nadi functions are male functions, that masculine functions, such as like engineering, math. Say, for example, you're driving is a masculine, whereas feminine, cooking is a feminine, teaching is a feminine work, gardening is a feminine work. Whatever creates, nurtures, they are feminine in nature. Whatever destroys, they are masculine in nature. So engineering is a destructive subject, if you look at, right? That's why bioengineering, they combine, biology is better, but bioengineering is also in the between. So you look at learning, all these things you can link and see, okay, if you're doing a song, which side of the brain function depends on, what you're singing. When you're singing, what body type is singing, etc. When you're giving a speech, all this. So now you look at chakras wise, which chakra, if you start to function this chakra, for the speech you can talk about, Udana Vayu chakra, the where the Vayu comes. So if you focus on the Udana Vayu, then the whole chakra tuning, when the chakra is aligned, it will align time also. So you can work on the Udana Vayu chakra, which is the Nabi, and then you do the throat for a minute, and then you go here, 1 minute, and then you start to give a talk. Then, your talk will be accepted.
So you go first with the throat chakra and then you go between the eyes. Just press the pressure points. Okay.
Nabi, throat chakra, and then the eyes, third eye.
And for
Important.
singing?
Depends. Singing, body type. So if you're singing, Vata singing, Vata time is good for singing, the early morning. Use that time, particular time, right? And it is good. Even if you're a Pitta body type, that is okay. You can use the Vata time for increasing the Pitta, and Pitta time you can decrease the Pitta, like that. So you can balance. So the activity that a Vada time person in Vada zone they should be doing is the Pitta and Kapha type. Same way to other body types. They should do the opposite of the things, activity wise. Okay.
And how do you utilize the Sadak Pitta energy for using it for mental activity rather than just for eating?
Yeah, see, if you're eating fully, say for example, our body's food is converted into 5 types of, 5 type of energy comes, not only food. Our stomach, if you fill just with food, we have energy coming from the earth's earth energy. Earth's magnetism gives us energy. The cosmos gives us energy from outside. It's continuously pumping in energy for us. Air gives us energy. We think air is not. I told you earlier last week, you go in the early morning, you can do the breathing exercise. Take the prana shakti. The prana only converts into 11 types of different vayus inside. So that also gives energy. Water is not something, you don't need. Water itself is a highly energetic. Water will convert by itself. Water, you can just survive with water also. They say Valalar and all, he survived just with water, some Karisale water, and he lived a liquid diet. So water itself by itself is energy. Then we have energy systems from outside, like blessings you're getting from you going to a temple structure, and all these things are some energy sources. Then food is 1/4, 1/6, 1/7 of that. If you're filling the stomach completely with food till here, and all this energy you will not get. So the sadhaka pitta will not be formed. The pitta, for the sadhaka pitta to be formed, you need the other type of empty space. Right? Then the same pitta will need to feed the pitta. If you're not feeding the pitta with some other energy, the pitta will burn you. It's like an empty vessel without water.
So you drink water when you're having the urge to eat and you don't have any food around you. Will that work?
No, you're saying like water during, no, when your pitta is in peak, you need to eat your thing. What I'm saying is, you have time for other things. Like you can see there are, this literature talks about how to drink water before, after, during also, because there are details in where you can drink water. People say like drink before. Many siddhas, doctors talk about drinking after. There's a literature which talks about drinking water before, after. See, when you want to be your own, you want to be thin, become thin, you drink water 1 hour before. If you want to become fat, think, after. If you have a weight issue, you want to, after 1 hour. If you want to be, there is a sipping the Chinese way. See, Chinese way, the Indian way is very different. You drink a gulp water. Western way is very, even they don't drink water. That it's not a very good idea. But here the India is like you eat some water, then drink water. And then what happens? You drink, eat and drink. There will be a gap, and the water goes down and there will create an empty space. So this will create problems. So if you sip like rasam, you sip little by little, like the Chinese way of sipping hot water, it is good. So that will balance you. So there are 3 ways of doing this. So when I'm saying water, all these things are part of food. So you can use other energies. When you're eating food at particular time when the pitta is high, you eat the solid food, whatever you have to use for your body type. But other times, you use the other energies, meditative energy, other kind of tuning energies, right? That can give you the energy, like air energy. So keep using that. So that's the. Yeah. So I'm getting late. Hello. Okay. So I have to now. So any other questions? I will wrap up. Oh, we have. Okay, there's no questions. I see Dr. Selva Shanmugam is also here. Okay, Dr. Selva. Okay, hello. So we can arrange some talk with Dr. Selva also sometime. online. Okay. Okay. So, all
Do
right.
you
So
want
we'll.
to tell us
Uh,
about future retreats? Anything?
yes. So we have announcement. So we have on 24, 25, 26. We have a retreat in Atlanta. So if you are nearby, please come. We will do a lot of things associated with. So that is fixed. Also, the circular, I think Arunaji was asking last time, so we have the circulation. So 24, 25, 26. So you can go ahead and register. So you look at a link and register for that.
Thank you, Dr. Shan. Will the link be posted in the group?
Yeah. Link will be posted in the group.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. We are doing it in a hotel, and there will be other places also within the hotel. Nearby places will be doing some events. So it will be 3-day things. Practical, we will do practicals there. Whatever I'm talking, we want to do that very practically. Okay. Any other? If not, I will wrap up. And please kindly donate. We will send you donation link. Please donate us. We are so that way we can sustain this kind of events. Okay, thank you.